toxic self-talk still pushing you around? You're working, you're just doing your regular job. You're just like trying to throw in that last load of laundry before you collapse into bed. And that voice in your head starts up with doom and gloom or more accusations. The all too familiar woulda, coulda, shouldas. Let's look at more ways to stop that script of toxic self-talk and love life again. Welcome to Truth Talk Wisdom Walk with C.A. Curtis. I'm Carolyn. This episode has more tools for how-to truth talk. Each tool or idea mentioned deserves hours or months of attention and practice. This is a brief overview of things that we now understand. As I mentioned before, the secular world cannot offer the insight and transformation which we can access when we ask the Creator of the cosmos to help us learn, change, and grow in truth and wisdom. Since He is the author of truth, every fact we learn about the human spirit, soul, and body comes from His complex, intricate design. And so it is exciting to explore and uncover details about how our body and mind work together. Yes, I do get excited about God's handiwork. And the closer we look, the more we see. When mind and body are healthy, truth talk is easy. We're designed to be congruent, to live life true to what we believe. So if we believe we're helpless, when we are not, we work hard mentally to justify ourselves and blame others. Victimhood grows on the falsehood that we're powerless to grow, change, and be stronger. Just one small step toward health, like a glass of water in the morning, can change our direction. One tool and good habit is clean eating and drinking. Why stress body and mind with garbage? And speaking of what we eat, Dr. Chris Palmer of Harvard proposed a theory which many health nuts, such as myself, have long suspected and suggested. When my special needs students came back from lunch, I could guess what they ate that had them on the ceiling for the next hours. According to Palmer's website, which I recommend you check out, he describes his book, Brain Energy, which, quote, presents the first comprehensive theory of what causes mental illness, integrating decades of clinical neuroscience and metabolic research into one unifying theory. Mental disorders are metabolic disorders of the brain. This theory integrates biological, psychological, and social factors and helps us understand the connections between mental health and physical health, unquote. His theory says a lot and stirs controversy. How do you think the fake food industry and big pharma like his theory? It used to take about 17 years for local medical professionals to catch up with the science. The research to practice gap is better today. However, change is hard where profits and pride can block the way. Palmer uses a medical ketogenic diet to help patients. The ketogenic diet helped me, which I'll talk about at a future date, and it has helped children and adults manage epilepsy seizures for 100 years, and it helps people with metabolic disorders. Keto begins with simply saying no to sugary treats and simple starches, yet say yes to salmon, steak, eggs, sweet potatoes, and lots of ripe avocado and lots of olive oil. So let's challenge and reject the miserable American diet and the high-carb school lunch of pizza, pasta, chicken nuggets, French fries, and desserts. Multiply the daily assault of this empty, high sugar and carb diet loaded with additives over a lifetime, and you have a picture behind poor health and chronic disease. Not new news here. We know we are what we eat and think. We've known that for a long time. When Hippocrates said all disease starts in the gut, it was because he saw so many guts. The difference between death by accident and death by disease was seen in the gut microbiome and still is. After 2 millennia of ignoring the gut, metabolic disorders do appear to start in the gut. Is it any wonder anxiety and depression are sky high and climbing? Without proper nutrition, I ended up with a B12 deficiency that affected my mood 24/7. I had to just control myself constantly until I had that first B12 shot, and then continued having shots to take care of that issue for that season. My depression was not mental disorder, it was metabolic disorder. So check out Dr. Chris Palmer's ideas and website to see how they can work for you. Now back to thinking. Why do we stress our body with garbage thinking? Garbage in, garbage out. Gigo. Gigo was used in the 50s to remind tech people a computer puts out what is fed into the machine. Garbage in, garbage out applies to many areas, including our thoughts. We can take our thoughts captive to the truth. My favorite quote for physical, mental, and spiritual health is from Paul in his ancient letter to the Philippians. That's Philippians 4:4-9. Rejoice in the Lord always. I will say again, rejoice. Let your gentleness be evident to all. The Lord is near. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. Whatever you have learned or received or heard from me or seen in me, put it into practice, and the God of peace will be with you. His words are framed and hanging on my wall. For me, they're an invitation and a meditation. During my brother's and my mother's struggle with heart failure, life was tough around decisions and sibling disagreements. I read, wrestled with, and meditated on the rejoice part over and over. Rejoicing did not fit. I was relieved that rejoice in that context was not gleeful or ecstatic, which felt impossible. Instead, it was a quiet joy in knowing that Jesus is near, suffered for us, and holds us in our suffering. Paul's words, written from prison, are an invitation to gratitude and singing in the midst of suffering and mixed feelings. They are an invitation to approach our personal loving Father with prayer and petition about our deep pain and uncertainty and concerns. And in so doing, we can experience God's peace instead of desperate hand-wringing anxiety. His peace protects both heart and mind and transcends our logic. Paul then wrote that we're able to choose what we think about. That is life-altering. We are not helpless. We can choose to turn off the input of tech and media garbage. We can ask for and seek wisdom. We can choose to listen, to see, to read, to speak about what is true, noble, and pure. We can look at the problems we face and need to. We can examine our attitudes and choose a noble response instead of reacting. How was the lovely and admirable discarded by popular culture? How did we let it happen? Choose to change the trend. What do you see and do that is excellent and praiseworthy? What do others do that you can choose to see and praise? Choose to focus on life-giving thoughts, words, and images. If Paul could choose his thoughts while subject to life and death in a Roman Empire prison, surely we're able to practice high-order thoughts today. The thought of memorizing a list and doing all of Paul's suggestions at once sounds hard, so ask God for help. You can choose just one area. I recommend just one area to focus on for a week or two. Remember, the Lord is near. Notice what you have to be grateful for. Gratitude is foundational. Practice being grateful for a bed to sleep in, air to breathe, the clouds which bring rain to quench thirst. Choose whichever word resonates with you today and add another as you're ready to. As we consider how to truth talk, there are many factors and ideas about what helps us be healthy. We know that feelings are not reality. However, feelings and thoughts trigger a cascade of chemicals in our body which affect us and may become our reality when they foster depression, anxiety, or illness. Dr. Daniel Amen is a Christian and a psychiatrist. He came up with the idea of killing the ants, or automatic negative thoughts. He even has an adorable anteater to suck them up. It's a fun picture. You can see his list on danielplan.com/transform your thoughts. For my clients, I added pets, positive energizing thoughts. When you regularly feed your pets, ants drop dead from starvation. List your pets, like curiosity, humor, music, and words that take your thoughts captive to truth. What do you use to talk back to the ants of always, only, and never? Use an anteater to suck them up. Talk back with your pets. For example, I always mess up. No, sometimes I mess up and need to redo things. So what? Feed your pets. Pets speak of opportunity and ability. And then, just as I wrote about pets, my pets went on strike. Seriously, stopped in their tracks by overload. My peeling house paint was scraped and being fixed. Sporadically, the painter recovered from his injury, and then he was seriously ill. The north wall got painted, ugh, awful, shining in the sunset with a creepy glow. So hoping to expedite the job, I bought more paint. Whoops, wrong color. As in 5 gallons of the lighter trim paint. Sprayed on an overcast day, it was expected to darken. Didn't happen. More awful shining like from a horror movie. My pets did a great job with that blunder. LOL, maybe professional painter is not my calling. Another life absurdity for the fun story to tell. Flat house paint added to the satin, remedied that shine, and the third coat worked. Meanwhile, painters shored the deck, which was collapsing, by replacing the rotting support post. The silver lining pet leapt into action with gratitude. The deck stayed up last time I ordered those deck planters. Humor pet stepped up with fond memories of that old 1980s Money Pit movie. As I searched for ways to cover more expenses, all this actually was around change as I worked towards simplifying my life, selling and moving closer to family. Meanwhile, my grown kids came to visit. and shared their concerns with me. Their concern really set my pets aback, and that was my tipping point, and sent cortisol danger red alert waves cascading through my system. Mercy! I felt like Superwoman. Do they worry and think I'm fragile? Well, I care about what concerns them. Fear gnawed at my nerves. Am I getting too old for anything? What am I doing? Where am I going? Yikes, I worried plenty about my mom before she lived with me after her 100th birthday. After decades of managing her stuff and mine, it is time to simplify. To be clear, I'm grateful my family cared enough to have the talk. It is an important rite of passage. Remember the talk? As a teen, wanting to drive or date, the talk happens with kids, aging parents, and in all probability, with those who care about us and worry about taking care of us someday. At its best, change brings uncertainty, and reaching a tipping point can happen. My lifeline to peace was frayed. Yikes. Perfect time to practice what I teach. Really? Didn't feel like it. Don't have to feel like it. As an act of will, I chose to breathe, grieve, pray, write a poem, talk with friends, make jokes, sing, and reach out to family. And breathe some more. It all helps settle my nerves. But getting rid of stuff and relocating is a big change. And it's okay to feel unnerved and be curious about what's at the core of my fear. You have to just stop and look at that. And I did. It helped to write out 12 flexible steps to climb this mountain, 1 or 2 steps at a time. Did I say flexible? Yes, has to be flexible. We have helpful habits, whether we do them or not. We can welcome the morning sun for a free dose of what makes plants grow and improves overall health. We can be active and walk outside and sit on the grass and breathe in fresh air, feel like it or not. We can work toward living as close to nature as possible and sharing life with family and friends. In the future, I look forward to looking at more tools, sharing what helps in uncertain times, and exploring how we make our lives healthier. Because truth matters, and you matter. Love truth, be grateful, and do good. Thank you for joining this journey of Truth Talk, Wisdom Walk.